Come again. I am trying this again. There were some issues with the stream. I had a problem with this streaming platform that I'm using, and it seemed like it wasn't actually streaming. It wasn't going live to the channels. So I had to quit and start all over again. So if you're watching now, if you're watching live, hopefully you haven't gone away, because I know that there were lots of people who showed interest in this masterclass that I'm sharing with you today, how to solve any problem. So welcome back to Less Stress and More Success. And if you're watching live, let me know in the comments. Hopefully this is working and it's sharing and streaming now. If not, well, we'll figure it out later. Okay, so this is being broadcast as a live stream across multiple channels, and also I'm recording this as a podcast. So if you want to listen to this, go and check me out on my podcast. And in this live stream, I'm going to share with you how to solve any problem. And you probably don't believe me. So I know a lot of people say, well, I know how to solve any problem. And they go, well, no, that's not true. You can't solve any problem. What about world hunger? But I'm going to show you how to solve any problem. And I want you to think about a problem that you're currently facing right now. Just one problem, please. One problem at a time. We'll solve one problem at a time, and then we'll be able to apply this to other problems later, even the world's problems, world hunger. And there are just 4 steps to solve any problem. And the first step is to categorize the problem. When we can categorize it, it makes it a lot easier to know how to deal with that problem. The second step to solving any problem is to identify the cause. And you'll know that when you understand what the cause is, it's of course a lot easier to solve it, to figure out how to solve it. And very often part of the problem is that we're not actually dealing with the cause, we're dealing with something else altogether. The third step is to explore your current involvement in the problem. Because what I'll show you is that very often that becomes a large part of the problem, how you're getting involved, and also what it's costing you, what that problem is costing you. And the fourth step to solve any problem is to explore alternative perspectives, which will reveal the solution. That's it. Number 1, categorize the problem. Number 2, identify the cause of the problem. Number 3, explore your current involvement in the problem. And number 4, explore alternative perspectives, which will reveal the solution. So we're going to go through that in depth. If you're watching me live, let me know if you're watching and where you're watching from. I'll be able to see the comments, which is all very exciting on my thingy here. If you were looking for me earlier on some kind of channel and couldn't find me, I apologize. I think there may be some challenges with this live stream. A bit of a problem, right? But it's not a problem. Okay, so step 1, categorize the problem. It's really easy to solve any problem when we know that there are actually only 4 types of problems that exist in the whole world. 4 steps to solve a problem, but also 4 categories and types of problems. So don't get those separate. Don't get those mixed up. Those are 2 separate things. And very often you might be thinking, well, how could there be 4 types of problems when there's things like the cost of living and traffic and, not enough money and not enough sleep and my mother-in-law? There's actually only 4 types of problems. And it makes them a lot easier and simpler to solve when we can categorize them in these 4 categories. So the first type of category of problem is a result. These could be results that you do want, results that you want more of, a goal that you're working towards perhaps, and also results that you don't want. And a result can take many forms. So it can be something that someone has said. It can be maybe your current to-do list, the results of having all of that stuff on your to-do list. It could be your current bank balance. It could even be something that you want to have happen in the future. Like I said, a goal or, a great holiday that you're planning. The results could also be something that someone else does, what they might feel or what they might think. And it can be anything external to you. So this could be things like circumstances that you experience in your life, and situations that you're in or environments that you find yourself in. Things that are mostly outside of your control. So the first category of problems are results. Results you don't want and results you do want. The second category of problems are actions. These are the actions that you want to take to achieve the results that you want, or the actions you don't want to do that you're currently doing and that are keeping you from the results that you want to create. Or it could be inaction, as in the case of me not folding the laundry when I know that I should be folding the laundry. Those are the second type of problems, actions. The third type of problems are feelings, or as a lot of people call them, emotions. And I'd like to just give a quick little bit of information on this because a lot of people speak about emotions that we experience, but I very often speak about them as feelings. And there's a reason why. The simplified scientific definition of an emotion is that automatic response that happens in the brain when something happens, a circumstance happens, or something happens in your life. It's an automatic chemical response. There's a thought in your brain, and then that chemical response flows through the body. And that whole process actually takes 90 seconds. And that's called an emotional response. That's an emotion. And essentially, emotions can be fully processed through the body in 90 seconds. But the feeling will remain in the body if we continue to think the same thought that triggered that emotion. So there are thoughts in our brain that happen automatically based on our past, our history, based on our survival instincts. They just happen automatically in our brain, and we can process through them within 90 seconds. Like when a shock happens, there's a big loud bang and you go, oh, that's a problem. Your brain's like, oh, threat response. And then you realize, oh, no, not a problem. It's just the door banging and it's fine. And then you won't feel that emotion anymore. You won't feel that response, that chemical response after 90 seconds. It will dissipate unless you continue to think, oh, that's a problem. There's something there. Someone's there. Then you'll continue to have that feeling in your body. So I separate them. They're not an emotion. An emotion is something that can be processed within 90 seconds, but a feeling is something that remains in the body if we continue to have a thought about it and create cognitive meaning about what's happened. So the third type of problem are feelings, and these can be the feelings that you want more of, feelings like relaxation and freedom and love, or the problem could be feelings that you want less of, like frustration and anxiety and anger, disappointment. The fourth type of problems are thoughts. What do you think and believe? These problems are the thoughts that are like the voices in your head saying things that, very often many other people just don't know about. We've got this whole other person in our head talking to us all the time. We have thousands and thousands of thoughts every day. And these are the thoughts that happen that are keeping you from taking action when you're sometimes thinking things like, I'm disorganized, this isn't working, I'll never be good enough. That generates self-doubt for you. Thoughts are also the same things like beliefs. Beliefs are also in the same category, this fourth type of problem, thoughts and beliefs. Beliefs are just thoughts that you've had over and over again that you believe are facts. You believe them. You think they're a fact. And these are sometimes can cause problems. For instance, if your beliefs are, that you have, which are very often tied to your values, what you think is very important to you, and when those don't align to the work that you do, or maybe the culture in the organization that you're currently in, then you will feel resistance or resentment or anxiety because there's always this clash of beliefs, of thoughts, of the ways of thinking. So I'd like you to think about your one problem. What is the one problem that you're experiencing right now? And is your problem a result? Is it an action or inaction? Is it a feeling that you're experiencing, or is it a thought? Or perhaps it's all of the above. So that's the first step to be able to categorize your problem into one of those four categories. Now, here's the amazing thing that I'd like to share with you, because one of those four types of problems, out of those four types of problems, there are only three things that you can control. And that's actually the amazing thing, is that you do have full 100% control of three of those categories: your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And if you focused a lot more of your time and energy and attention on just those three things, then you are going to have a lot fewer problems than if you were trying to control the things that are outside of your control. And I'm going to speak a little bit more about that later as well. But this is where things get really interesting, because the cause of all of the problems, all of the categories of problems, all of the types of problems actually comes down to just one thing. Just one thing. The cause of all of the problems that we experience comes down to one thing, and it is what you think. And if you watched last week's masterclass, oh, let's not break this, pull that down. If you watched last week's masterclass, I hope this is the right way around. If you're watching, just let me know if it's the right way around, and you can read it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to turn it around. I can't remember if this was mirrored or not mirrored. Or let me know if you're watching. So this is where things are really interesting, because you'll remember that your thoughts generate how you feel, your feelings drive your actions, and your actions create your results. That's it. Your thoughts are always the cause of all of the problems that you experience. It's the reason why science has also shown that your perception creates your reality. It's your thoughts. Your thoughts, what you think, will create your reality, your experience of your life. Your experience are all of these things. That's the cause of any problem too, is the thought that you're having. So when you can identify the cause as a thought, it's literally half of your problem is gone. I'm not sure if you've been in a situation where you've spent hours and hours with your team or on your own trying to solve something, and the same issues just keep coming back until eventually you realize that the problem wasn't the problem after all, but something different, something else completely. It's kind of like if you have an invasive weed in your backyard and you keep hacking away at the leaves, trying to make the weed go away. And for some reason, it just keeps growing back and growing faster and spreading. We waste a lot of our time trying to solve a problem by not looking at the cause. And we're trying to solve the problem that isn't the real problem. And by doing that, when we're just hacking at the leaves, it actually exacerbates the problem, makes it bigger. It doesn't make it go away at all. Has this happened to you? If this has happened to you, share with me in the comments what's happened, what's gone on. So that's the second step in solving any problem, is to identify the cause, as we know, which is always a thought that we're having. And now, before you start arguing with me in your head, telling me that the problem is actually someone else, I'm going to share more with you on that a little bit later on, so stick around until the end. I promise I'll get to that. The third step to solving any problem is to explore your involvement in the problem. And I'm going to explain how this works with an example. So one of the problems that a lot of us have, and we've had in our lives, is about time. And when you look at your long to-do list in front of you every day and you think, oh, I just don't have enough time to do it all. That's your thought. This third step to solving the problem is to look at your involvement. And your involvement is all these other things. What do you feel when you're thinking, I don't have enough time to do it all? You might feel overwhelmed. And what do you do? Because obviously your feelings drive your actions. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, what do you do? When you feel overwhelmed, you might be more easily distracted. You might not plan. You might try and multitask and do everything all at once. Or you might end up procrastinating and not doing anything at all. And your result from that action is that you don't have enough time to complete your to-do list. or at least do the important things. You created the feeling and your actions, and therefore the result, with the way you were thinking. You created the result with the way you thought about your to-do list. I don't have enough time to do it all. So it's important in this step to look at your involvement in the problem so that you can take accountability and responsibility for how you're showing up and how you may be contributing to the problem. This step will also help you to identify what it's costing you. What is this problem actually costing you? Because we won't change anything. We're not going to solve problems and change anything for ourselves if we haven't identified how much it costs us to stay this way. So by identifying this, identifying what is the result that it's creating for you when you think that thought, you get to decide. You can say, well, actually, it's costing me a lot, or no, it's not costing me much. Our brain likes to conserve energy. So if we haven't identified what we stand to lose by continuing with this problem, continuing in this same way, continuing to have this thought, which generates that feeling, which drive those actions, if we haven't actually explored our involvement in this problem and understood what we stand to lose or what it's costing us, then it's likely that we're just going to stay the same and we're not going to solve the problem at all. So let's go back to your problem. I want you to ask yourself, why is it a problem? What are you thinking about it that makes it a problem? Share that with me in the comments with your answers. And if you're watching on replay, share it with me in the comments too, and I'll for sure come and have a chat. Let's see. I'm actually seeing some comments here, and it seems like there's a problem with this live stream, but that's not a problem. It's not a problem. We'll figure this out. If I have to come and do this live stream again, that's not a problem too. I will do that again. So let's get back to the problem. I want you to ask yourself, why is it a problem? What are you thinking about it that makes it a problem? And when you think that way, how does it make you feel? And when you feel that way, how does it make you act or behave? What is the action that you take? Or what is the action that you don't take that you want to be taking? And when that happens, take that action or inaction, what is the result that you create from that? And you know what? In this step, you might explore. You might explore and realize something, that maybe it's okay for you to stay the same. Maybe it's not costing you too much based on your current priorities. Maybe it's okay to keep things the same. Maybe it's okay to keep thinking that thought. Maybe that's okay too. This step is going to help you to make sure that you don't waste time on problems that aren't worth the effort. Pick your battles, as they say. And if you decide that, then you can just gently let this problem go and think it's not a problem. I'm going to take a quick break. If you are watching, let me know if you're watching. It seems like there is some challenges here, and I'm going to just send some messages to people who've been trying to watch and they can't watch. And I want to be able to help them here. Let's have a look. I'm not sure why this isn't streaming to LinkedIn. This is very weird. Let's see. Let me just see. There are people waiting for me on LinkedIn and waiting to watch this. It's not streaming to LinkedIn for some reason, but I want to just send them a message and let them know where they can watch it. And I think YouTube might be an option. Let's go and send them a link. If you're watching, just bear with me for 2 seconds. Okay. Alrighty, let's see if I can help. Oh, oh. Alrighty, let's see if I can help. Now it's All right, I will be back in 2 seconds. LinkedIn not working. Watch here. Okay, there we go. Maybe that'll help someone. Okay, so like I mentioned, perhaps you might figure out that your problem is actually not a problem and you can just gently let it go. That's also an option. The fourth step is to explore alternative perspectives, which will reveal the solution. In our example above, when we're thinking, I don't have enough time to do it all, we can question that. Do you need to do it all? What is enough time? What does that mean? What does enough time even mean? Because time is time, right? We can question that. We can think, what does this thought actually mean? What am I trying to solve here? What am I trying to do here? And why should we continue to think it and believe it and not question it? Especially if it's creating a feeling of overwhelm, a bad feeling, something that feels bad and feels overwhelming and doesn't help you to take the action that you want to take and get what you want to get the results that you want. Why would we continue to think that way? One of the greatest insights that I've had, and the reason why I became an executive coach, is that I realized that I can choose my thoughts. Maybe this seems obvious to you, but I don't think that's the case for a lot of people. And I'm going to make it my effort to share this with as many people as I possibly can. I spent a lot of my time before I became an executive coach, thinking thoughts that made me feel bad. I had thoughts that created doubt and disappointment and lots of anxiety. I had thoughts that stopped me from going after my big goals. I had so many of these thoughts that made me feel so bad a lot of the time. And you know what? We get to question every thought that we have. We can choose to let them go and believe something else if we like. Why not, right? Especially if it's going to help you do better at work and at life. So once you've identified the cause of the problem and explored your involvement and what it's costing you, guess what? Luckily, your thoughts are also the solution. In our example about the to-do list, what if you just thought, I have enough time? Or this is my favorite thought that I always think, I always have enough time. When you think that, you may feel calm and energized. Something like that. You may feel good, whatever that feeling is for you. And when you feel calm or energized, what might you do? You might plan more, make better decisions about your priorities. Maybe you'll be more focused when you're actually working on those tasks. And the result is that you then have enough time to get through your to-do list, or at least the most important things. You get through some of it. It's not going to increase those feelings of overwhelm for you. So let's head back to your problem that you have in mind, the one that you've been thinking about in the context of this session. What could be another alternative way to think about it? Something that's going to help you feel better about the situation. That's going to help you focus on how you want to show up and how you want to take action. And that will create a different and better result. This isn't positive thinking. This is intentional thinking. This is conscious thinking. Because we get to choose how we want to think if it's going to create better results for us. And you know what? You're probably already doing this automatically with some problems that come up for you. But when we can understand how we can do this and how we can use this formula in our day-to-day lives, we can be more intentional with this. We can make the shift faster, and we can solve problems faster and maybe even tackle more challenging problems. Now, I bet a lot of you are still saying, actually, the problem is someone else's thoughts or someone else's feelings or someone else's actions. Unfortunately, we cannot control someone else's thoughts, feelings, or actions. That's within their control. And I know we so desperately want to do this, especially because I know I desperately want to do this with my husband because he needs to know exactly how he should stack the dishwasher. And no matter how many times I tell him, he just never gets it right. And I just wish he would do it the right way. But even in this example, my thought is the problem. I'm thinking he should stack the dishwasher the right way. And when I explore that and question that thought, I can ask myself, well, what is the right way to stack the dishwasher? My way is my way, which doesn't mean it's the right way. And when I think he should stack the dishwasher the right way, I feel frustrated. And then I get into a huff and I restack the dishwasher, or I just make sure that I always stack the dishwasher. And then I also end up resenting him and feeling frustrated with him, being angry with him for not allowing him to do it, feeling resentful for him because I'm doing it, but I'm not allowing him to do it because I think that he's not doing it the right way. But this is incredibly disempowering for me, but also disempowering for him because I've got to be the one stacking the dishwasher if I'm feeling resentful and frustrated all the time, thinking that he can't do it correctly or he can't do it the right way. And what if I just thought, exploring an alternative, what if I just thought he can stack it any way he wants to, as long as it's stacked, right? As long as the dishwasher is stacked, then it's great. Then it's not a problem. Or I can continue to choose that there is a right way. I can just own that. I can say this is the right way. And I can just choose to let it go as a problem and rather take ownership of the way that I'm thinking about it, ownership of my thought, and not allow it to generate a feeling of frustration. And instead, just allow it to have a feeling of empowerment or powerful. There is a right way to do it. And I'm just going to feel that I know the right way. I'm empowered to feel the right way. But I'm just going to take control over stacking the dishwasher, which is fine, right? That's also an option. And I'm going to do that without resentment, without getting irritated or frustrated with him, because I know that I can always control my thoughts, feelings, and actions about it, which will help me to solve, because the problem is always about it. You see, it's very disempowering for you and for the other person if you try and control their thoughts, feelings, and actions. And this is where the RAFT formula is so helpful, because when dealing with problems involving other people, we just need to remember that the problem is actually just your thought about their thoughts, feelings, and actions. And if you think they should be doing this, they should be feeling this, they should be thinking this, you're going to spend a lot of your time trying to get them to change, which, as you probably know, is not always easy. And by all means, you can go ahead and try. And you can, for sure, make requests of people. That's part of your action. If you're coming from a feeling of feeling empowered, knowing that that's what you can control. You can control how you request something of someone, or the information that you give them, or what you teach them, because that might be within your realm, in your work context. You need to get stuff done and you need your team to do it. But I want you to separate them doing it or not doing something has nothing to do with how you feel, think, and act. Only you have control over that. And your thought is what has power about the situation. And if you've had a problem for a very long time with someone specific, I know you've got someone in your mind, we all do. But if you've had a problem that you've had for a long time with someone, I'd like you to consider exploring another thought that will generate another feeling instead of frustration or something similar. Just think about, is there an opportunity to think something else here that will feel more empowering for you? And what will happen when you do this, when you just explore that there might be another way of thinking about this, what will happen is that the solution will reveal itself. And the solution is how you want to think, feel, and act about the problem without requiring control over someone else's thoughts, feelings, or actions. That's when you start to feel powerful, when you know that you can't control them, but you can control you and how you want to think about the problem. You don't need to actually control them. As an example, when we're frustrating, yeah, I know I'm frustrating a lot, but when we are frustrated, and this is a feeling that comes up a lot when it comes to work, most people do not come up with creative and new solutions when you're feeling frustrated. It's true, right? We will not come up with great, innovative, new ways of doing things when we're feeling frustrated. We end up just resisting the other person, thinking and blaming them for not doing what they should be doing, but we just keep going round and round in circles. That feeling of frustration is not going to drive the action that you want to take to get a different result. So, this formula gives you back your power on what you can control. So, if your problem relates to someone else, what if you thought, what if you even just believed going forward that they can do whatever they like? Your power comes from how you want to think, feel, and behave in those situations, and you always get to choose that. You always have power over that. The raft formula can also help to solve other people problems by increasing empathy. Very often, when we think someone else is a problem, what we're doing is we're only looking at their actions or the results that we're creating. We're looking at these two pieces. And we think that's a problem. What they're doing or what they're not doing is the problem. But with the raft formula, what you can also ask yourself, and even you could explore this with them if you lead them, if you coach them as a leader, you can ask them, what are they feeling that drives that action or inaction that you think they shouldn't be doing? And if they're feeling that way, what might they be thinking? This will reveal so much more understanding about people and why they do what they do. And then you can realize, well, actually, they're only acting that way. They're only doing those things because of what they're thinking. And perhaps this is, as an example, perhaps this is someone on your team that you're leading. And then you can ask themselves, well, why do they think that? Why are they thinking that they might lose their job if they don't do this right? Why are they thinking that? What can I teach them or show them to help them have a different perspective on this if that's what's required? Again, going back to what you can do. So this really helps to identify what other people are thinking and feeling, which creates so much more empathy. Because it makes sense then. If someone's thinking, I'm going to lose my job, it makes sense that they're going to feel fear. And when they feel fear, they're probably not taking great action. They're probably very scattered or distracted. It makes complete sense. Now, what I want to share with you, and I want to be completely real with you, because using this formula and these steps to solve any problem is very uncomfortable. It is. I'm not going to lie, because it's going to require you to own up to the thought that you're having about the problem and owning up to the fact that it's you who needs to change it in order to feel something different about it, in order to take different actions, and in order to create a different result. That is the uncomfortable part. It really is so much easier to blame other people for how we feel or for our lack of results. It really is. And that happens a lot. So much easier. But we just get into the cycle of blame. And where does blame actually help? Blame is actually very disempowering for you. So it is going to be uncomfortable, but you either have the discomfort of choosing this, owning this, or you have the discomfort of just keep going around and around in circles, blaming other people. Because if you disempower yourself completely, you're going to get fewer results in your life. You're going to give away all that responsibility over to someone else to change, or something else outside of your control to change in order for you to act, feel, and think differently. And then you're just not going to get what you want. The other thing that I want to offer to you is that we can't solve every problem so that there will be no more problems. That is not the point. I want to share a quick story, a quick aside. When I was 5, I made a wish on my birthday cake. You know, when you're cutting the cake and you make a wish. I made a wish on my birthday cake that there would be no more news broadcasts on TV because I thought that news was just sharing problems. And if there were no more news broadcasts on TV, then there would be no more problems in the world. And even though I was 5, I think a part of our adult brains still think like this. We try and rush to solve all of the problems so that we can just sit back in peace and comfort and relaxation with no more problems. But that's not the point. And I don't want you to use this for that reason because our growth and our development demands problems. We need to be dealing with problems if you want to grow, if you want to evolve, if you want to do better and greater things. You get to innovate more by solving problems, solving more problems. And if you don't have any problems, then if you think to yourself right now, I don't have any problems, my life is easy, then maybe I'm going to just offer and say, perhaps you're not aiming high enough. Perhaps you're not intentionally taking on goals that are stretching enough and big enough for what you are truly capable of. We need to be having problems to deal with. The point with these 4 steps and the raft formula is not to solve every single problem so that we don't have any more problems. I want to rather help you identify problems faster so that you can solve them faster, so that you can tackle more problems and even more complex problems, so that you can be even more amazing and add more value to the world. That is the reason for it. So make sure that you keep that in mind and that you're not going after this so that you can just feel relaxed. Because actually, feeling relaxed will come from a thought anyway. And you can choose to have that feeling at any time. And the reason why this formula works so well is that most of our problem solving comes from how we feel. 95% of our problems are solved and decisions are made based on our emotions. Numerous studies have shown this over the years. And this formula allows us to assess problems on our conscious thinking instead of just on our feeling. We just go one step lower. We get more to the cause, more to the why, more conscious. We don't walk around 95% of the time just doing things based on how we feel. If we feel crappy, we do crappy things. If we feel good, we do good things. But this gives us a lot more control because we know that we can adjust this to feel better and to do better. And you end up then not reacting to problems, but rather responding to them. And also using what you can, these 3 things, in order to solve them. So here are those steps to solve any problem again. First, you're going to categorize the problem. And either that problem is a result, an action, a feeling, or a thought. The step 2, you're going to identify the cause of the problem, which is always a thought. Your thought that you're having about it. Your perception is your reality. Step 3 is you're going to explore your current involvement in the problem. So you're going to explore, what does it make you feel when you think that thought? What does it make you do when you feel that way, when you think that thought? And what is the result that you're getting when you do that, when you feel that, when you think that? Explore your involvement in that problem so that you know what it's costing you, whether you want to solve this problem or whether you just want to let this problem go. That's always an option too. And then step 4, explore alternative perspectives which will reveal the solution. Create an alternative way to think about the problem that will allow you to feel better so that you can do better, so that you can innovate more, so that you can come up with better solutions. And if this relates to somebody else, so that you can teach them, show them, explain to them, communicate with them better. Because that's also within our control. And now you know how to solve any problem. I know that this live stream may have had some challenges and some issues. And If I have to do this masterclass again, not a problem. Or if you were watching and you didn't see the whole thing, just message me and I will send you a link to the full masterclass again, the replay, and you'll be able to watch it from the beginning and get all of the content all over again. But I hope if you were watching that it was useful. If you have any questions for me, put them in the comments. I will go back and I will answer them for you. If you have any questions for me right now while I'm still live, type them down and I can maybe answer them for you. And in the meantime, if you would like to know more about executive coaching with me or my speaking packages for you and your team, for your organization, just DM me and we can set up a complimentary consultation. But I want you to know that when I learned this for myself, when I've used this in my life, I feel so much more powerful, so much more in control. And I solve problems much faster. I move forward faster. I don't let things hold me back. I know that there's always a thought that is the reason that's holding me back. And that's it. I always have control over that. I always have power over that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you again next week. There will be another masterclass next week, every week, Wednesdays, 12:30 British Standard Time. I hope to see you there. Have an amazing week, everyone. Bye for now.